Johnson meeting Macron, we got the most fascinating leadership blend in terms of body language. Macron arrived and shook hands with a full-leg splay, looking like very much the powerful alpha. They then performed what I would call a Trump shake, a power shake, and I think that was probably led by Macron, kind of shake that Trump uses to slightly destabilise other world leaders. Could almost see Boris looking slightly alarmed by the whole thing, and Boris at that stage began to use a defensive or quasi-attacking gesture, the finger point. But it was interesting to see how much Macron was picking up on any attacks, because Macron, within a few moments, respond to what is like a dueling gesture with his own point, so clearly not going to give any ground whatsoever. Macron looked almost as though he was looking admiringly at Boris while Boris was speaking. His face remains almost totally in profile. The big tell or hint that maybe that wasn't so, though, was coming very subtly from Macron's hands. You can begin to see what's called a metronomic gesture. There's a tapping of the finger and there's a tapping of the thumb. And normally that will be more of a true indication of how somebody's feeling or thinking, as in impatience and a disinclined to be in agreement with the other person.
Just as
Boris was employing a lot of throwaway hand gestures. He used his signature clunking fist. But when Macron was speaking, you see much more in the way of precision gestures. You see a very strong precision steepling, which is a gesture of power and precise thinking. The other thing that Macron did, though, as well, that would be more patent fight gesticulation, whereas Boris used the one clunking fist, and Macron clearly admired it. Macron then started to use two clunking fists, so he was obviously also wanting to look like the better pugilist, the better boxer, the better fighter. It was interesting that they resorted to good old-fashioned one-upmanship.
Merci beaucoup.
Boris was power-patted 7 times by Macron. Now this looks like a friendly gesture, but in fact it is literally patronising. Now, Boris's response to that, he started to do what are called self-policing gestures. Kind of tried to put his hands in his trouser pockets, and it was as though he self-policed. Oh no, I'm not allowed to do that. So it makes him look like a sheepish kid. So it wasn't particularly a good look in terms of decisive thinking. What he did do at the very last minute, he suddenly did a little flurry of back pats on Macron. The last one to get the pat in has kind of won some kind of body language competition. Let's hope that suddenly Boris unmasked in there and became much more incisive thinking and speech.